Hey folks, let's start with what hits you first, the front end. Cab design, nose versus no nose. That hood up front ain't just there to look good. It's covering a big old engine, gives you smoother ride comfort, and makes getting under the hood for repairs a whole lot easier. And let's be honest, it just looks like a real truck. Now take a look over in Europe. What do you see? Cab over engine trucks. The cab's sitting right on top of the motor. No hood, no nose, just straight business. Why? Because the roads over there are tight, real tight. You've got medieval towns, roundabouts the size of a large pizza, and traffic that'll make you lose your mind. A long-nosed Pete wouldn't last 5 minutes without clipping a lamppost. But here in the States, we've got space. Interstates wide enough to land a 747 on. Truck stops built like small towns. That's why the long-nosed designs aren't just possible, they're preferred. And if you're hauling for 10 to 11 hours straight, that extra stretch out front really helps to smooth out the road. Now sure, cabovers might be easier when it comes to parking or tight corners, but they just don't have that American flavor, that soul. One look at that chrome hood shining in your side mirror, and you know you're behind the wheel of something that was built to ride with pride. The second reason, wheelbase and maneuverability. All right, folks, let's talk about what's under your boots. The wheelbase. American trucks run on long frames. We're talking real stretches, some pushing past 270 inches from axle to axle. And why is that? Because it makes for a smoother ride, better stability at highway speeds, and plenty of space for those big comfy sleeper cabs we all love. Now over in Europe, forget about it. Those rigs ride short, not by choice, but by necessity. They've got to weave through old cobblestone streets, tight docks, and alleyways that were built long before anyone thought of horsepower. Over there, a tight turning radius isn't a nice-to-have. It's the only way to get the job done. Back here in the States, that long wheelbase acts like a cushion between you and the road. With all that length, the bumps feel more like ripples. You're gliding down the asphalt like butter on a hot skillet. The trade-off? You're not taking sharp turns in a tight parking lot without swinging wide. Meanwhile, in Europe, drivers got to squeeze into spots that most American rigs wouldn't even think of entering. Border crossings tighter than a glove, maze-like city streets, loading docks the size of a driveway. Bottom line, America gives you room to run long and smooth. Europe keeps it tight and nimble. Different roads, different needs, but it's the same job at the end of the day. The third reason, sleeper cab comfort. See, in America, many of us are owner-operators. We don't just get behind the wheel of these trucks, we live in them. When you're out on the road for weeks, sometimes even months at a time, that cab ain't just a cab. It's your home on wheels. That's why American rigs come with massive sleeper cabs. Some fellas go all out and turn their sleeper into a little rolling RV. Wood paneling, LED lights, the works. You pull into a truck stop and it feels like pulling into your own driveway. But over in Europe, the lifestyle's just a bit different. Most Euro drivers aren't gone for weeks at a time. They're in and out more often and usually back home in just a few days. So their sleepers are smaller. Just enough space for a bed and the bare essentials. Efficient, compact, and made for short-haul runs. You take one look at an American sleeper and you see space, comfort, and freedom. Look at a European cab and you see function and practicality. Now, I'm not saying one's better than the other, but if you're running coast to coast, you need that room. Because after knocking out 700 miles in a day, folks, nothing beats kicking back in your own rig with the AC humming and a hot meal sizzling on the stove. The fourth reason, driver hours and work schedules. Here's one that really changes how these trucks are built. How long a driver's allowed to stay behind the wheel. In the U.S., a trucker can be driving for up to 11 hours a day, with a total of 14 hours on duty, before they're required to take that 10-hour break. That means long stretches, big distances, and a whole lot of time spent inside the cab. You're not just hauling freight, you're living on the road. Now, hop over to Europe and it's a different ball game. Their rules are tighter. Drivers over there can only run 9 hours a day, with just 2 10-hour exceptions per week. And they're capped at 45 total work hours each week, and that includes breaks and downtime. It's a much slower rhythm compared to how we run things stateside. Because of all that, American trucks are built with the long haul in mind. Bigger cabs, more comfort, larger fuel tanks. European trucks, they're designed for short runs, tight city deliveries, and quick turnaround schedules. And it doesn't just affect the truck. It shapes how drivers live out there. What they eat, what they wear, what they pack, how they sleep. In the U.S., a driver might be away for weeks at a time. In Europe, most of them are back home by the weekend. So next time someone asks why our rigs look like rolling apartments while theirs look like delivery vans, well, now you've got your answer. It all comes down to the hours behind the wheel. The fifth reason, transmission culture, manual versus automated. Now here's one that every seasoned driver's got an opinion on, the transmission. In the U.S., manuals have ruled the road for decades. Floating gears, matching your RPMs, feeling each and every shift. That's part of what made you a real trucker. And even today, a whole lot of American rigs still run manuals, especially when you look at the owner-operator crowd. Now over in Europe, they made the switch to automated gearboxes way earlier. Most new trucks rolling off the line over there come with automatics or automated manuals. And the drivers, they're loving it. Smoother shifting, better fuel economy, and a whole lot easier to deal with in heavy stop-and-go traffic. But why such a big difference? A lot of it comes down to culture. In America, shifting gears is a badge of honor. It's part of the job. Over in Europe, it's all about efficiency and comfort, especially when you factor in tighter traffic rules and sky-high fuel prices. Now don't get me wrong, automatics are showing up more and more in U.S. fleets too, especially with the big-name carriers. But you walk up to any old-school driver at a truck stop and ask their take, they'll probably tell you, if it ain't got a clutch, it ain't a truck. The sixth reason, road infrastructure, wide versus winding. Let's talk about the roads we roll on. The good old asphalt. Here in the U.S., roads are big, wide, and built for serious distance. Interstate highways stretch for hundreds of miles. The lanes are generous, and truck stops, some of them are practically cities. That's why our rigs are longer, heavier, and need the space to move around with ease. Now head on over to Europe, and it's a whole different story. You've got twisty roads, narrow bridges, and towns with streets built back when folks were hauling goods by horse and cart. It's tight, real tight. The turns are sharp, the roads are unforgiving, and finding a decent parking spot? Good luck with that. And all of that, every bit of it, changes how trucks are designed. From how long the rig can be, to how sharp it can turn, even how far a side mirror can stick out. American trucks were built to cruise. European trucks, they were made to hustle. The seventh reason, weight limits and cargo regulations. Here's a big one, folks. How much freight you're actually allowed to haul. Over in Europe, things are tight, real tight. Strict axle weight and gross vehicle limits mean trucks have to be shorter, lighter, and more efficient. Most European semis are capped at around 40 to 44 tons total weight. And trailer length? That's restricted too. So every single inch matters. Less cab space, more room left for cargo. Now here in the good old US of A, we've got more wiggle room. Our axle limits are higher, our trailers are longer, and that gives us a whole lot more freedom in how we build our trucks. Longer sleepers, beefier frames, bigger engines, no problem. And that matters, because in Europe, space is money. They can't afford to give up trailer room just to stretch out in a big old cab. But here in the States, we've got the space to spare, literally. So next time you're wondering why their trucks look short and squished while ours stretch out like freight trains, just look at the regulations. The 8th reason, engine power and torque philosophy. All right, folks, let's pop the hood and talk about what really matters. Raw pull-in power. American trucks are built tough, with big block engines made to handle long hauls and heavy freight. We're talking powerhouses like the Cummins X15, Detroit DD15, and the Cat C15, engines that push well over 2,000 pound-feet of torque without even breaking a sweat. Now flip that over to Europe. Their engines are smaller, more efficient, and designed to meet some of the strictest emissions rules out there. Companies like Scania, Volvo, and DAF focus on a clean balance. Decent power, but tight on fuel burn and CO2 output. Here in the US, that torque's a necessity. You need it for pulling through mountain grades, desert stretches, and cross-country hauls that can run days at a time. In Europe, it's more about urban delivery, lighter loads, and frequent stop-and-go driving. So they favor quick response over brute force. The 9th reason, emissions standards and eco pressure. Now here's a topic that's been changing the trucking game for years: emissions. Over in Europe, the rules are tight. We're talking Euro 6 standards, some of the strictest on the planet. That means manufacturers have no choice but to build cleaner, more efficient engines from the ground up. They're packing trucks with advanced after-treatment systems like SCR, DPFs, and EGR. Yeah, it's the whole alphabet soup under the hood. Because of all that, European rigs are built to sip fuel and breathe easy. Every component, from the engine itself to the aerodynamic trim, is tuned for max efficiency and minimum CO2. Now here in the US, we've got EPA regulations, no doubt, but they're not quite as aggressive. We still care about clean air, but there's a little more tolerance for bigger engines, higher torque, and longer service intervals. What does that mean in practice? Well, European trucks tend to be more tech-heavy, and sometimes that means more maintenance headaches, especially for old-school mechanics. American trucks? Still rugged, still simple where it counts, though we're catching up fast. So it ain't just about who's greener, it's about how the green gets enforced. The 10th reason, bumper design and ground clearance. One quick glance at a Euro truck and you'll notice it right away. Low bumpers and low ground clearance. That's not just for looks. Those rigs are built for city life, tight streets, and backing into loading docks where every inch counts. When your delivery spot's the size of a garage, low and sleek gets the job done. Now swing back to the US, and it's a whole different setup. American trucks ride high. We've got tall bumpers, chrome guards, and plenty of clearance underneath. Why? Because out here, you're not just rolling pavement. You might be pulling into a muddy yard, a rough construction site, or some back road delivery drop where the ground's anything but smooth. That higher ride height also helps protect the rig from debris and road damage, especially on those long interstate runs where you're clocking serious miles. So yeah, it's not just a design choice, it's pure function. Low and clean for tight city maneuvering, high and tough for the open road grind. Two worlds, two bumpers, same job. The 11th reason: cab entry, stairs versus step up. Climb into a European truck and it feels a lot like walking up a staircase. Low, evenly spaced steps that almost make it feel like you're stepping into a van. It's smooth, it's easy, and it's built for quick in and outs, perfect for city routes and frequent stops. Now compare that to climbing into an American rig, and yeah, it's more of a climb. You've got taller steps, grab handles, and most times you're swinging yourself up like you're mounting a horse. But there's a reason for that. Our trucks sit higher off the ground. We've got bigger engines up front, more clearance underneath, and that long-nosed design that lifts everything up a bit. For drivers running long hauls, that climb ain't much of a bother. You're only getting in and out a couple times a day. But in Europe, where drivers might hop out 10, 15 times on a route, easy access matters a whole lot more. Different designs, same mission. Keep the driver moving safely. One you walk into, the other you climb into. 12th reason: visibility and mirror setup. European trucks are built with visibility in mind, plain and simple. With that cab-over-engine design, the driver's sitting right up over the road. You've got a direct view of what's in front of you, almost like sitting in the front row at the movies. Add in those curved windshields and carefully placed mirrors, and you cut down blind spots fast. Now, over here in the US, it's a different setup. You're sitting further back behind that big old hood, and sure, you've got large mirrors mounted up high, but that long nose blocks a chunk of your view out front. So, when you're inching out of a tight spot or trying to thread the needle in traffic, you're relying a lot more on your mirrors and your instincts. European rigs often go all out with their mirrors. Some even have down view mirrors mounted over the passenger door to help spot tight curbside space. American trucks, they tend to keep things simpler and tougher. But that does mean you've got to work harder to watch your corners. The 13th reason: trailer types and configurations. Here in the US, it's pretty straightforward. The 53-foot box trailer is king. You see them everywhere, coast to coast. One long trailer, one big load, built to haul distance. Sure, we've got flatbeds, tankers, and reefers out there too, but the long box dominates the highways. Now take a look across the pond in Europe, and it's a whole different setup. Trailers are shorter, usually around 40 to 45 feet, and that's because of road size and legal length limits. So to make the most of what they're allowed, you'll often see Euro rigs using B-doubles or turntable trailers to carry more freight without going over the limit. Another big difference: curtain side trailers are everywhere in Europe. They're ideal for palletized freight and make side loading fast and easy, especially in tight urban areas where rear access just isn't an option. Bottom line, in the US, it's about hauling one big load far and wide. In Europe, it's about flexibility and fitting into tight spaces. Different setups, same goal: get the cargo there on time. The 14th reason: fuel tank size and range. American rigs are made for distance, and that means big fuel tanks. Most trucks out here carry anywhere from 200 to 300 gallons of diesel, sometimes even more. That kind of capacity lets you run over 1,000 miles without needing to stop. You fill up once, hit the road, and just keep on rolling. Now in Europe, it's a different game. Fuel tanks are smaller, usually around 100 to 150 gallons. Why? Well, their trips are shorter, fuel prices are way higher, and fuel stations are just about everywhere. There's no need to carry all that extra weight when you can top off at the next stop down the road. Big tanks in the US mean fewer stops, more efficient long-haul planning, and better use of your time out on the interstate. In Europe, Tight emission laws and strict weight limits make it smarter to run lighter and refuel more often. So while American trucks stretch their legs and run heavy across entire states, European rigs keep it lean, local, and fuel smart. The 15th reason: customization and truck culture. Here in America, a truck isn't just a tool. It's a reflection of who you are. Chrome bumpers, custom light bars, wild paint jobs, towering stacks, airbrushed murals, you name it. Drivers take pride in their rigs. They personalize everything. Just head to a show like Walcott or Matt's, and you'll see it. Trucks that shine like showpieces, built with love, not just labor. Now, over in Europe, things are a bit more standardized. Most trucks are part of large fleets, and they stay pretty close to factory spec. Sure, you've got a few owner-operators who like to dress their rigs up a bit, but overall, image takes a back seat to practicality. Fleet managers are focused on uptime and budgets, not custom fenders and LED strips. Why the difference? Here in the US, owner-operators make up a big chunk of the industry. Your truck is your brand, your home, and your legacy. You want it to turn heads. In Europe, where fleet work dominates, a truck's just part of the operation, and downtime for custom work means lost time on the road. So yeah, European rigs are clean and modern, no doubt. But American trucks, they've got soul. The 16th reason: air brake feel and pedal response. Now here's something veteran drivers notice right away: how the brakes feel under your foot. In American trucks, the brake pedal's got a softer feel. It's gradual, takes finesse, and gives you that classic floaty air brake response. It's the kind of thing you get a feel for over time. Smooth as butter, when you know what you're doing. But in Europe, totally different. The pedal feel is firm, sharp, and more immediate. Kind of like what you'd expect in a car. The response is tighter, the travel is shorter, and it's built for city driving with lots of stop and go. Why the difference? It's all about how the trucks are used. Here in the States, you're cruising long stretches of highway. You want flow, comfort, and control over the long haul. In Europe, with all those narrow roads, roundabouts, and sudden stops, precision matters more than pedal feel. So if you're switching from one to the other, don't let it catch you off guard. Your foot's gonna notice right away. The 17th reason: lighting and marker laws. In the US, we love our lights. Amber markers, red rears, clearance lights stretched across the top. They're more than just legal requirements. They're part of the truck's identity. Some rigs light up like a Christmas parade, and out on the open road at night, that glow screams America. Now in Europe, things are a lot more reserved. Strict rules limit the kind of extra lighting you can add. No underglow, fewer side markers, and just about no flashy chrome light bars. It's all business. Built for function, not flair. Why such a big gap? Well, US DOT standards give drivers more creative freedom when it comes to lighting setups. Over in Europe, the ECE regulations are tight and consistent across countries. The 18th reason: steering, feel, and driving position. Climb into an American rig and you'll feel it right away. You're laid back, hands on a big old steering wheel, looking down that long hood like a captain on the open sea. It's a relaxed, stretched-out driving posture, perfect for those 10-hour highway hauls. You've got space, comfort, and that classic big truck feel. Now hop into a European truck and it's a whole different setup. You're sitting upright, closer to the windshield, almost like a city bus driver. And that's not a bad thing. It gives you better visibility in traffic, quicker access to the controls, and a more centered view of the road around you. See, American rigs are built for distance. Comfort is king when you're clocking miles across wide-open landscapes. Euro rigs, they're tuned for tight turns, fast reactions, and urban hustle. Places where you've got to thread the needle, not cruise the plains. Different seating, different feel, same purpose. Keep the driver in control and the wheels moving. The 19th reason, suspension and ride quality. American trucks are built to ride long and ride smooth. With air ride suspensions, long wheelbases, and softer setups, these rigs are made to eat up highway miles without beating up the driver. You hit the road in a well-set-up American truck, and it's like floating down the interstate on a cloud, even when your trailer's packed to the gills. Now switch over to Europe, and things ride a little stiffer. European rigs are tuned tighter, firmer suspensions, shorter wheelbases, and more compact frames. They're built for control, not comfort. With all the constant braking, tight turns, and narrow roads, ride quality takes a back seat to handling and precision. That doesn't mean European trucks are uncomfortable, far from it, but their suspensions are designed to give the driver maximum control in environments where one wrong move can mean a busted bumper or a missed delivery window. It's not about which one's better. It's about what the job demands. If you're hauling 700 miles across Wyoming, you want that soft, rolling bounce. If you're dodging scooters and corners in downtown Barcelona, you need tight, responsive handling. 2 different roads, 2 different rides. Same mission, get the job done. The 20th reason. Trucking, lifestyle, and culture. This one goes deeper than design. It's not about horsepower or axle spacing. It's about the life behind the wheel. Here in the U.S., trucking isn't just a job. It's a lifestyle. A whole lot of drivers own their rigs, name them, polish them, and treat them like family. It's freedom. It's pride. It's chrome dreams and long hauls chasing that open road. You're not just driving. You're living in your truck, and it shows in every detail. Now, in Europe, things are a bit more structured. Trucking is treated more like a profession. Most drivers work for fleets, run regional routes, and are home a lot more often. It's steady, efficient, and a bit more by the book. There's still pride in the job, no question, but the personal touch doesn't always make it into the truck itself. And that's why American trucks often reflect the driver, from custom interiors to decked-out exteriors. You see one rolling down the road and you know exactly who's behind the wheel. In Europe, it's the company that's front and center. Clean, uniform, low-profile rigs that get the job done without the flash. We don't just say, "That's my truck." We say, "That's my home." That's it, folks. 2 worlds, 1 passion. Drive smart, stay sharp, and hit that subscribe for more real truck talk.